Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Unconditional Life. I'm John.
I'm Johnny.
We're here today with our friend Brad from the Resilience Talk Network. He's been our producer here to make this whole thing possible. I'd like to introduce Brad. And after we've got to know him a little bit, we've learned a little bit about him. I want to share a little bit of his talk network and who he is with you, too. So why don't you got a question for Brad? Johnny, why don't you start us out?
Well, Brad, first of all, I just want to say I appreciate you
thank you.
What you do for us.
Thank
Brad
you so
makes
much.
everything possible.
Oh.
We just show up without much with us besides the clothes that are on our back. We sit down for a few minutes and talk, and then we leave.
Yeah.
It gets to you guys because of what this guy does. He's a great producer. We're lucky to have you.
We got a lot of passion, not very much performance behind the techno stuff. My kids have convinced me to say I'm an old dude who's learning technology instead of a techno-tard, which I used to call myself.
I'm both.
Yeah. It took me a while to learn it, though. You can ask my wife when I first started Resilience Talk Network. It was
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was in my.
How'd you get into this?
In my basement. Well, I started in radio back in 2003. That was down in St. George, and it was kind of I fell into it kind of a thing. I was actually interviewed on one of the stations down in southern Utah. It was on AM 890 KDXU. So
it just sounds right.
Yeah, it was just flowing. So they had me on down there, and the station manager heard me, and he says, "Brad, you got a good voice. Would you like to do a show here on the weekends?" And I was like, "Oh, sure."
That's awesome.
I've always wanted to get into talk radio, but man, that was an experience, I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know anything about it. And my first thing, because it's like, okay, you have an hour, but there's a bunch of commercial breaks and all this stuff. And so I thought, well, I'm going to bring in about 2 hours worth of material. And so that'll be plenty for my 1 hour show there. But then I went through all my material and I still had 12 minutes left. And I'm like, what do I talk? Can we go to another break?
Oh no, that's fun.
I mean, it's amazing how quick the talking goes and all that stuff. But it was a learning curve. But I came to love it because of the outreach that I could have with people. I felt like I had a strong message. At the time, I was working with at-risk youth, and I just felt like I had a strong message, and I just wanted to get it out there to people, and so it fell into place. But then later on, I lost that gig there because another station came in and another company came in and bought the station out. And they just automatically, you're gone. I mean, no questions. Doesn't matter that we were number one on Saturday. Didn't matter. Poof, gone. And then I'm like, okay. So then I moved up to Salt Lake. I started on another network that was internet-based. This was way before podcasts. But it was internet-based, and I went on. It was the Grapevine Talk Radio Network, and built up a really nice audience all around the world, because now I've got this global market, and it's like, oh, this is cool. But then went there one day, and there's a lock on the door. It's like, what? They're out of business. And I'm like, well, this is frustrating. So there was two components to it. Number one, I got tired of working hard to build up an audience and then gone, number one. But the second thing, there's a lot of people with a lot of good messages out there, and they will never get the opportunity to be on radio. To get into radio,
I mean, how many people
impossible.
think about doing a podcast?
Yep, it's impossible. If you want to go for it.
It's a pretty inexpensive way to get your message out there.
Correct.
If you've got something to say.
Right, and so when podcasting came around, I thought, okay, because a long time ago I thought, you know what, one of these days I'm going to start my own station, and I can put anybody on there I want to. And
I love it.
And, but this is my station, so that's what
Thanks
it's about.
Thanks for putting us on.
Oh, you're welcome. But that's what it was all. That's what it was all about. It was so that was kind of the drive behind it, and here it is.
And now you have your own podcast, right?
Yes, I do.
Tell us about that.
What
goes into that?
It's actually called Resilience Talk with Brad Neufeld. The motivation behind it is there's so many things going on in this world right now, and whether you want to look at it from a spiritual sense or just from an everyday challenges that you go through, it just feels like no matter what you do, there's so many things standing in your way to getting what you want.
Yeah.
And so the whole theme of the show is resilience. You need resilience to get through those challenges. And looking at them a different way. You have challenges in your life. God's not punishing you. I know a lot of people think that. I'm just being punished by God or whatever. No. In order to learn, you have to have resistance. Okay? In order to build muscles, what do you got to have? You got to have resistance. Otherwise, your muscles never grow. And so it's, nothing's different mentally. You've got to. When
true.
you ask for something, God puts things in your way to help you get that thing that you're asking for.
Yeah, He doesn't be like, I want money. He doesn't give you money.
No.
He puts an opportunity for you to do something that leads to money in front of you.
Absolutely.
Good. You got to have that resilience.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's what it's about. I interview a lot of book authors because I like that, because if you've never written a book before, that's a challenge. But it's just another belief of mine. Everybody has a book in them, inside of them.
I think so.
Yeah. But how do you get it out?
How do you tell your story?
Yeah, most people get a pad of paper and go, where do I even start? Well, just write down chapter 1.
It's true when you think about it that way. I mean, it's all just about how you say it.
In the beginning,
there was John.
there was light.
And John was light.
Yeah, just start a story.
Yeah, you just start your story. And again, I just think everybody ought to do that. But why don't they? Because of this stuff that's in front of them. And that's my goal, is to help them get through the junk to get to the other side.
Yeah. Well, no, that's awesome, looking at it from that perspective. Because when we came down here and we started doing podcast videos, I was like, Resilience Talk, that's a cool name. And to hear where it comes from and why you called it that's pretty cool. It's really
I know
interesting.
we'd never do anything. I'd be trying to do it on my phone with a Facebook Live or something. And
Well, I mean, and that works for some people.
Yeah.
because this message has burned in me for a long time.
And that's why
And I'm glad that you see it. And I'm glad that what I love is we've been able to build a little bit of a brotherhood here in the studio and learn a little bit more about how we all tick and the way we think. And I love the passion that you have for helping people too.
Oh, thank you.
You got a big old heart in you, and I know that's part of the thing that I see frustrate you, is you're trying to help people. And then you get shot down. Like, this ain't about all. Brad didn't build something up just because he wanted to make money. Or sure, we're making a living, but your heart was in the change you were being, the gifts you were giving to people, and then they just took that away from you. And you're out there standing like, where do I go now?
Where do I go
and I
now?
was like,
Right.
That's a guy I can love and really have some mad respect for because of that. That's the way I feel about things.
Makes it really easy to come here and do this.
Yeah.
You know? We literally come in and it's chill until we're done, and then we leave. It's really cool because the environment is just so positive, and so we appreciate you for
You're welcome.
for setting it up that way. Now, with your podcast, how long have you had the podcast out?
It's been hit and miss. Actually, it started about 5 years ago, but it was under a different name, and it's just kind of evolved. But Resilience Talk has been here a little over 3 years, so I've had my podcast that long. And I know a lot of people look online and they'll say, "Well, Brad, where's all your podcasts?" Well, they're on there. They're on YouTube and various other places. I just haven't done my own podcast regularly because I've been helping other people. And but again, I just encourage people, keep checking in Resilience Talk Network, especially on YouTube, and pretty soon we're going to be doing them all the time.
So have you had to, like, a 30-second or 60-second Brad's mission statement through what's your what do you Resilience Talk Network and Brad? What?
Yeah, the theme again, overcoming the challenges of life. 30-second version. Oh boy.
If it's that 10-second overcoming life, I love that.
Yeah, because I like that. Well, and I like how this has all evolved too. Because again, it started out as something else, and it's evolved into what it is right now. And I've just picked up a few little things along the way. I guess that's the other thing, is helping people to be aware. Anytime you're chasing your dream or goal, we just live in a world, I just call it sitcom syndrome, where people want everything to happen right now. We're so used to it. We watch a TV show, and like the police officer shows that you see all over the place. Isn't it funny how you go from crime committed to somebody in jail all in an hour? Isn't that great?
Yeah.
But see, because of watching these shows, it has a lot to do with it. We expect things to happen
true.
right now. And it just doesn't work that way.
Made us very impatient.
That's a really good story. That's a good example.
Yeah, and so I like to point that out to people. If you set your goal to do something, you will get it. You just have to put in the time for it to evolve.
You just have to keep
Yeah.
at it.
You have to plant the seeds.
Because again, it started out with Resilience Talk Network. What a cool name. Now what? It was.
Oh yeah.
That's literally how it was.
I like that.
And it's evolved all the way to, my wife came up with this really cool saying, and you'll see it all over our website, of join the resilience. I love it. Just sends a
that's
chill
cool.
down my spine.
That
Join
sounds
the
like you should be
resilience.
building a rebellion. Or
That's
something.
right, but it's not. It's
like
people
that.
working together to help other people.
Yeah.
And to have
that's what it
hope
is.
and
Yeah.
to raise up and to be resilient. Like
Yeah.
I love that. I have this theory that, and it may be a little out there, but I'm going to share it. I have this theory that the Lord gives us certain gifts and then certain weaknesses, so we need one another. I think and this whole thing of idea of being resilient, we need each other to
Can I say
collaborate,
this? This is
you know?
one of my themes. People need people.
Oh yeah, I totally believe that.
But yet we're kind of geared in some ways, men more so than women,
To be loners.
I want to do it myself.
I
guess
got
what?
it.
Well,
It's
the whole concept of self-made millionaire is BS. Does not work. You got to have people to get that.
Yeah.
You got to. You have to work with people. I mean, for heck's sakes, if you come up with a product, people got to buy it, right? You know, if they don't buy
That's
it,
true.
you're
I
going
like
nowhere.
that.
You know, it's all about relationships, which is back to your podcast, Unconditional Relations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Unconditional
Like
life. You
everybody
gotta-
fits together like a puzzle.
Absolutely,
You know?
it's-
You need one piece. Without one piece, the other one doesn't stick.
And this is a big topic that I want to put out there in a big way. I believe everybody can win. Everybody, 100% of people can get what they want in life.
Me too.
Now, people might say, "Well, there's just not enough. There's all these, the rich people are taking everything." It doesn't work that way, guys.
Nope.
It doesn't work that way at all. You can get what you want as long as you
There's
do
enough.
what it takes to get it. There's enough.
There's
know
enough.
what?
There's enough for
Yeah.
everybody.
I got a great example of that. One of my friends, just over 5 years ago, started a roofing company, and there's plenty of roofing companies
Yeah.
in Salt Lake Valley. And you know what? I'm almost positive he owns the biggest roofing company in Salt Lake City.
Why? Because,
because
he's
he
passionate
didn't-
about it.
When he
and
didn't
he's-
believe that there's enough roofing companies, he
He's
just
resilient.
decided,
Yeah.
I'm actually going to, it's Josh at Legacy Roofing. I love you, brother. I hope you see this one day.
Thank you, Josh.
Josh has been an incredible motivator for me.
Yeah.
He saw a need in the marketplace and didn't say there's too many roofers in the world.
Yeah.
And I would say that to all of us. There's not too many of whatever it is that you are, whatever your gift is that you bring to the world. There's nobody newer than you. I believe that's the Dr. Zeus guy.
The cat in the hat.
Why can't I remember his name?
Dr.
Dr.
Zeus.
Zeus. I want to call him. I want to call him the guy who's another name. It's a book my mom used to share with me. But yeah, nobody in this world is newer than you.
Green eggs
And that's the gift that we all bring to the world. And the happier, more loving version of you that you could bring to us, the better off we'll all be.
Well, it's like Brad just said a second ago at the beginning of this. I love what you said, that everybody's writing a book inside them. Everybody has a story. I do believe every human being has it inside themselves to do something with that story better than anybody else on the planet. I think every single person has something unique in them and their own unique way of telling their story. That's what I think what you're doing with your podcast is helping people find that.
Yeah.
And tell their own story, be resilient so that it's their story that's told. And that's basically what we're trying to do with the Unconditional Life, is get people telling their own story and being authentically themselves.
Or even writing it on purpose.
Like right now, we're kind of telling
Yeah.
our story a little
Yeah.
bit through a microphone to some people on the camera, you know? It's the way we've chosen to tell our story, in a way. And I think everybody has something like that in them. So these two topics or themes we have kind of run hand in hand with the differences we would love to see. And it's not that we want to see any specific difference in the world. We just want it to change so that everybody wins.
Because I
And
believe that
everybody's
too,
happy.
Brad, with
Yeah.
all my
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
I
It sounds
believe
like
that
you do
everybody
too,
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's in a nutshell. That's why we love doing what we do, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Brad.
Absolutely. And thanks for
Yeah,
having me
yes.
on.
Yeah,
thank
thanks
you,
for
thank
coming. And oh, by the way, I'll say this right: Resilience Talk Network on YouTube. Check Brad out. Hit whatever the buttons you're supposed to hit them.
We're not tech
subscribe,
people. I don't know
share.
if you can tell.
Again, we're just trying to start this conversation, folks. I'm looking at the wrong camera. Just check out what Brad has to
know.
say. The few guests that I've seen on his podcast have been brilliant. He does care. I'm grateful to be associated with this great man here, and I'm glad for your time. Thanks for listening to us. And
thanks for pointing at the right camera. Too,
No
so
problem.
that I always know.
I have a weird way I like to leave people with, and I would just wish you a merry, happy everything. That's all.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.